Hello and welcome to another beer review. Seem to be saying that a lot quite recently, but that's all good. So today we're going to do a kind of another British ale. The reason why I'm doing it is because we did McEwan's Export not that long ago, which was an English made beer masquerading as a Scottish beer, a Scottish ale or a heavy. How English, how Scottish? Well, it's not made with Scottish water for a start, so that's going to be an issue because Scottish water is very, very soft. So that will obviously have an effect. And I honestly don't know whether we're working to the original recipe or not. I honestly really don't know. So it tasted okay, it tasted fine. Did it taste like the original from a way back? I honestly can't remember. I honestly couldn't really say. So you know, it's a hard one to call, but now we're going to basically be doing a popular English beer masquerading, funnily enough, as a popular English beer. Now there's been a lot of kind of issues with this beer over the years, with breweries shutting down and the craft beer movement coming in and things like this, and IPAs going through the roof. But it's still a very popular one, and it's one of course you're going to find in London, and a lot of the kind of old kind of traditional pubs you get in London, maybe not so many of the kind of more new and hipster kind of bars that you're getting, but we're doing Fuller's London Pride. Now, I used to drive past the brewery. Well, I honestly don't know whether it's still the brewery. It used to be in the Chiswick Road, which was the A4 coming out of London before it goes into the kind of M4. Just near the Chiswick roundabout, and I remember they were advertising a kind of a lager, supposed to be a kind of craft lager. I can't remember the name of it, but I always mean to kind of get round and kind of reviewing that. So that's one of the ones I will look at. But we're going to do Fuller's London Pride, which is an amber ale. It's very popular in London pubs because it's originally from brewed in London, and it's well known kind of throughout the capital with kind of older drinkers, maybe not so much with the younger drinkers, but definitely with the older drinkers. And used to be the kind of chosen ale on tap with a lot of the kind of traditional kind of London pubs. That, like I say, has kind of changed because a lot of the kind of traditional London pubs have faded away, and you've got kind of more kind of trendy kind of bars. You've got gin bars, and you've got obviously more kind of craft ale, more kind of trendier kind of bars as well. It's just the nature of the beast. But this is obviously harking back to the original. It'll just be interesting to see what's this like compared to the likes of Marsden's version of the Export, which again is more of a kind of an amber ale as well, even though it's supposed to be a Scottish kind of heavy. So we're just kind of looking at it to see what it's like. So the facts of the bottle is, again, it's 4.7%, so it's more alcoholic than the Export, the McEwan's Export. I think that was 4.5. It's a 5 litre bottle, half a litre bottle or 500 ml bottle. It's been sold as part of a kind of a deal within Tesco, so you're getting 4 bottles for £6, so they're working out at under £2 a bottle. So it isn't bad. So let's see how it pours. There we go. There's about a 1 finger head. Looks like nice carbonation, tan coloured head, nice kind of clear amber colour, as you can see. It's I think there's some spiel in the bottle, and you know how much I love the spiel. I'm lost without it. just like my glasses. So here we go. Roar with pride. There we go. We're roaring with pride. That's what it tells us to do. Oh no, it's win VIP experiences and prizes. Oh, there we go. It's competition now. The beer's not good enough. We've got to give you a chance to win something. It takes skill, dedication, and time to brew an ale that's outstanding. Oh well, there you go. The modesty. It's in abundance with this lot, isn't it? My God, it's outstanding apparently. It takes the same to become a line. Play with pride, share with pride. Official beer of the British and Irish Lions. Well, that didn't work out well because they lost that series 2-1 to South Africa. So yes, you can roar with pride with that one, eh? That was an outstanding result. I mean, seriously. So you can win VIP experiences and prizes. There we go. Official beer of the British and Irish Lions, which I don't know if it's for all their kind of games just now, or is it just for this series that they did down in South Africa. But anyway, that's it. It's not really saying anything apart from it takes time and it's an outstanding ale. So there we go. I've got my brand. There we go. And it's God. What the hell does that say? From the Griffin Brewery. Is it from the Griffin Brewery? I don't know whether that's the one near Chiswick or not, I don't know. I'll need to check that out. Really done my research on this today. You can tell, the professionalism is just oozing over the top. Jeez. But anyway, I will kind of check on that. I don't have anything on me to actually check it just now. But anyway, let's get down to the beer. What does it smell of? It smells of malt. This is a surprise, that being an ale. Getting slight floral notes. Which means you're getting that, and you know the type of hops that are being used. Yeah, some floral notes, a kind of rosy smell, and kind of a slight, ever so slight, delicate caramel smell. There's not really much else. You're not getting any yeast. You're not getting anything else. So let's give it a try. Yeah, it's got some floral notes. Yeah, it's but they don't linger. They disappear quite quickly. A slight bitterness, ever so slight, and again that disappears. It just gives you kind of a slight kind of very delicate and very mild kind of sweetness, but it's not really sweetness, it's just a kind of ever so slightly sweet, pleasant aftertaste. But again, it kind of dissipates. There's a lot of dissipating going on with a lot of the beer reviews right now. Yeah, there's that bit of kind of tanning kind of flavour in it, a bit like a kind of a stewed cup of tea, and I'm getting that as a kind of mid to back of the mouth flavour now, and it is lingering. It's gentle, but it's still lingering. So yeah, so yes, you are getting that kind of bitterness ever so slightly. So yeah, so what it starts off with a little bit of sweetness ever so slightly, and then it goes to the floral notes as it starts to move to the middle of the tongue. Then you start getting this slightly kind of tea flavour kind of taking over, the kind of stewed tea, the tanning kind of bitterness, which heads to the back of the mouth, but is fighting with a kind of a light sweetness as well. So you're getting a slight kind of mixture between the two, just depending on how long you're holding it in the mouth. I've noticed if I hold it longer in the mouth, I get more of a tanning aftertaste. If I swallow it quicker and don't hold it so long in the mouth, then I get more of a kind of a ever so slight sweetness as the aftertaste. So it does actually kind of change how you actually drink it. Yeah. There's a tanning a bit now. But yeah, it's a nice beer. It's not bursting with flavour. A lot of the flavours are quite mild. And I think it's a case as though is what you would probably refer to as a pint of mild, really, in a lot of ways. It's a very kind of easy drink, inoffensive kind of amber ale, not very complex. Not very pronounced flavours. How does it compare to the kind of export? Well, obviously there's a bitterness. You didn't get that at all with the McEwen's export. Obviously you've got the floralness from the hops, which again you didn't get any of that because obviously the McEwen's export was very slightly hopped, whereas this obviously got more hops in it, and again you can just tell by how it's reacting. It's a lot more livelier, more kind of lacing and coating of the glass, as you can see. You weren't really getting any of that with the McEwen's export, which is what you're supposed to get. It's not supposed to be lacing the glass and all foamy and beautiful heads, because it is very, very lightly hopped, whereas this obviously has a lot more hops in it. So of course the beer's reacting differently because you're getting more of that reaction because of the hops, as well as getting the kind of more floral notes. The bitterness, well, it's not a strong bitterness, but it is a bitterness, and there is a bitterness there. And yeah, you are getting just kind of, just at the start of the mid-tongue, just as it's kind of coming in, you're getting that kind of floral notes. You're getting that kind of rose, kind of watery kind of flavour. And yeah. Yeah, it's nice enough. It's not the best aftertaste in the world. It's okay, but I prefer it if it's more pronounced. If we're going to have an aftertaste and I want either a proper bitter kind of flavour, or I want to kind of have that kind of sweetness or floral notes or whatever, but it just seems to be a kind of mix and match with the kind of aftertaste, and it's not just kind of definitive enough for my palate anyway, for what I'm looking for. But would I take this in a pub? Yeah, I would. I'd take a pint of London Pride, and yeah, it's an alright beer. Marks out of 5, what would I give it? Oh, now there's a question. It is more of a kind of it's a mass-produced beer, but not a mass-produced beer to the whole of the UK. It's a mass-produced beer to the kind of local region that it's in, which was of course mainly London. So it's a kind of mass-produced beer for London, which of course is basically supplying a lot of people, you know, because of the population. I mean, it's the biggest kind of area of population in the UK. It was London by quite a margin. So yes. You can definitely say it's a mass-produced beer because it definitely was produced for the masses. How popular and how well it's faring now in London with its kind of globalisation and kind of cosmopolitan and metropolitan kind of attitude and makeup, I don't know. I don't see many kind of migrants to London really drinking much, and I mean migrants from outside of the UK and from within the UK. I don't see many of Scots people, if they're going down to London, or Irish people, or people from the north of England that are maybe moving down to London. They're going to be drinking this. I mean, I've got 2 sisters who live in London and they moved down from Scotland. I can assure you probably none of them are drinking this. Which doesn't surprise me because I don't think any of them drink beer anyway, but yeah, I think this is obviously kind of more from the kind of a beer for the kind of locals who are basically grew up, born and bred, and have maybe a kind of tradition of drinking in the kind of more kind of traditional and older style kind of London pubs. So yes, I don't think this is for the kind of the glitterati type of people in London, or a lot of the kind of migrants that have moved to London for work and everything else. So I don't know how well it's faring. It's an alright beer. I'll give it 3 out of 5. If I was in a pub and it was on tap, yeah, I'll take a pint of it. Would I have a whole night on it? Probably not. No, I wouldn't have a whole night on it. I'd buy it as different ones to try. There you go, I'm getting a little bit of sweetness there again, rather than the heavy kind of bitterness. So it does kind of chop and change as a kind of aftertaste. It just depends. I mean, yeah, it's pleasant enough. It's fine. It's a good beer. It's unoffensive. I would recommend you to try it. And if you are ever visiting London, then yes, I would recommend, yeah, pop into a kind of traditional pub. Usually find it because they're usually probably looking a bit dirtier and run down. But yeah, go and try a traditional London pub and get a traditional pint of this. I'd say it's probably as historic to London as probably a lot of the tourist sites you're probably looking at. And yeah, have a little taste of London. So yeah, not a bad beer at all. So that's us for this review. Thanks for watching. Cheers, and bye for now. See, I got it right this time. No problem. See, bye for now.